Now, I would say that unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably recognized that we have a leftist issue. But even if you lived under a rock, at this point, you would likely have at least a white liberal woman under that rock bothering you about something, right? You have been subject to leftist ideology, the destructive nature of so-called progressivism at this point in your life. It has affected you in some way, whether it's directly because one of your loved ones suffers from this tragic spiritual illness, or you have seen it on the internet as one of these leftists is crashing out about Lord knows what on that day. So it's no surprise. And when we're looking for answers around this, oftentimes we go to, well, it's psychology. This is indoctrination, which is truth, but it's a half truth, right? It's a partial truth in essence. This is ideology. These are nefarious actors with an agenda to push. Absolutely. But if we don't understand what's at the core of it, at the spiritual core, then everything else we're dealing with is going to be surface level and symptomatic, right? We're dealing with inherent evil here. And as I've said before, and I'll say 1,000 times, I don't mean that hyperbolically. I don't mean that figuratively. I mean evil as in evil. I say what I mean what I say. Now, we're going to get into a few videos from one of my favorite genres, which is people walking away from the Democratic plantation or from leftist ideology, which is always a beautiful thing. But before we go there, I want to set up that foundation for us. Now, I'm going to be getting into the book of Isaiah in the 5th chapter. This is verse 20. This reads, this is going to sound real familiar to y'all. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. That right there would quantify the entire leftist movement. And I'm not saying they ain't folks on the right and moderates and libertarians, etc., who do not deal with this issue of deception. Because honestly, outside of the true and living God, it is only darkness and deception. It is him who is the light. So let us continue. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. That one right there will probably almost always convict me personally, because that's the personal one that God has been working with me on, which is seeing myself as knowing when I really don't know. Pride at its core. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes. Obviously, it's not talking about you, right? It's talking about the person next to you, your cousin. It couldn't be you. Couldn't be you who sees yourself as wise in your own eyes. But if we look at the leftist movement, right? And I mean that in, I guess, two sort of frameworks. I mean movement as in, it is this gathering and coming together, and it is this sort of, political, social, economic galvanizing. But it's also a movement as far as it's literally moving. It's seeping into the rest of society. When you look at leftism or progressivism or Marxism, however you want to maybe quantify it or whatever expressions it may take on, it is rooted in flipping good to evil, evil to good, darkness to light, light to darkness. It's what it does. Why? Because the devil is not original. He is not a creator. No, he is not. Instead, he uses what already exists and he perverts it. He takes what is godly and makes it profane. So, for example, marriage, the union between a man and a woman coming together in a committed, healthy relationship, bound by marriage, and having children out of that marriage. That is good. That is of God. That is natural law. That it makes sense logically, naturally, etc. Now, what leftism, I'm just making that up. Is leftism a thing? I know leftists and leftist ideology, but we're just going to go for a little abbreviation. Leftism says, no, No, we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is say that, I don't know, just abolish the whole family thing, right? There's no real nuclear family. That's toxic. What we are going to do is we're going to take a woman and then have her pretend to be a man. And then we're going to take a man and pretend to be a woman. And then we're going to bring them together in this weird, perverted sort of Frankenstein's monster of a relationship. And then we're going to, let's say, surrogate a couple of kids into that situation for them, since, the formerly functioning parts are no longer functioning. Darkness into light, light into darkness, good into bad, or evil, evil into good. So the taking of a life is to most people seen as immoral. It's evil, unless it's inconvenient to have that life around. Therefore, if you have a life in you, you can rid of that life so long as that life is going to be an inconvenience. Good for evil, evil for good. As a matter of fact, we will call it anything other than a life. We'll say it's, let's say, a clump of cells. We'll go with clump of cells. That one sounds good. Good euphemism. Well done, marketing team. A clump of cells, and instead of calling it unaliving, the other word, still got to say that on here, I guess, we will call it women's reproductive rights. Nailed it. Instead of promiscuity, we will call it liberation. We like liberation. Liberation is good. Oh, empowerment. That's good. Well done, Rebecca. It's a little bonus for you over there. We'll call it anything other than what it actually is. Darkness. Evil. These are words that we have become so afraid of in a age of the new age, which is actually what I came up out of and I was delivered from, the new age, where there are no truths. Everything is subjective. It is your truth, my truth. And therefore, my way of living is based upon whatever I feel. That's right, a feelings-based reality. So bad is not technically bad because it's evil. It's bad because I think so in the moment. But there is no bad. It's just different expressions of the same thing. So the little mustache man was not evil in what he did. No, it's just the other side of the same coin. This is real ideologies that people hold in real life. I'm telling y'all right now. The laws of attraction. It is my word that creates. It is my thought that creates. Not the will of an infinite sovereign God. No, I as the God of me. Again, going back to that, you see your own self as wise. I'm not saying that man is not given wisdom, but he is given godly wisdom. Outside of that, all he has is his intellect, where he thinks himself to be so wise, yet he can't even remember where he put his wallet 10 minutes ago. God, where is that phone of mine? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were God. I thought you were wise in your own eyes. Your phone's right there, by the way. And your wallet, it's in your back pocket. It's time to drop the pounds. So I do want to get into these videos. My apologies for bringing them up so late in this. But again, the overarching point in most of the videos that, I'm called to record is the message's sake. So sometimes I might start early with these videos. Sometimes it might be later. But in this case, it's simply more of really a crescendo. It's a celebration of there is freedom from this. And yes, there's still going to have to be psychological things that I work through, etc. But if at the foundation of that is not God, then you're cooked. Because you're just going to be trying and trying and trying and trying. You can't meditate yourself enough. You can't therapy yourself enough. You can't do all these things enough. Though they are important as far as, the therapy or counseling aspect with good counsel, digging into those traumas and things of that nature and dealing with them in a godly, healthy way. Don't lean on whatever crutches or whatever it may be, and don't believe that you're not going to do anything. Some folks out there, they're praying for God to drop the pounds for them, and yet they're sitting there behind on a couch all night with Doritos in their belly button and their waistband. It's not going to work that way. You're going to have to move, get up, and do the thing. And you'll be given the strength, the encouragement, and things of that nature, but you got to get up and move. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into these two videos here.
Why I am no longer on the left, even as a lesbian. And yes, I'm going to read what I wrote down because it's quite a list. It has been maybe half a decade, maybe even more, that I've decided to leave the left, and this is why. What I have observed is that the community pretends to fight for inclusivity, diversity, and freedom. But I've seen with my very own eyes for years now that realistically they fight for one-way thinking, the demonization of specific groups that are other than them, and the cancelization of freedom of speech. They say they care about human life and people who are victims of war, but advocate for the killing of the most vulnerable type of human life form in existence. They fight against the legalization of guns, but cheer when guns are used to assassinate a man who simply had a different opinion. They cancel free speech under the label of hate speech, when often enough, it's not hate speech, it's just speech they hate. Not to mention the complete lack of self-awareness to go from saying somebody is speaking hate speech and follow up with saying some of the most disgusting and degrading things to humans I have ever heard. Don't even get me started on the GoFundMe that was made for the murderer of that innocent girl. There have been too many examples of narcissism, manipulative abuse, gaslighting, closed-minded and anti-growth promotions within the community that I'm very proud to say that as the first letter of the LGBT, being gay does not automatically mean that I have to share the same sickening, in my opinion, views as the left. Why would my sexuality, gender, race, or anything for that matter have to do with where I land politically? And quite honestly, I hear more LGBT members complaining about being misgendered than any other actual hate crime happening in the world. If being misgendered is your main point of how you're being oppressed in this country, I would consider you to be very privileged, because there are actual, real issues that need healing in the world more than your gender pronouns. My mind, body, and soul knows where love is, and I do not feel that in the community. Yes, there are positive and negative on both sides, but overall, I have been my most mentally healthy, happy, and filled with self-love person since I decided to think more for myself and not allow others to dictate what I should and shouldn't believe in order to fit their agenda. It is getting painfully obvious now that no one is going to be fucking with that energy anymore, and you guys are about to lose a large percentage of your community. I'm already seeing it everywhere online. Hopefully this is a wake-up call. You all need to look inwards. There's no shame in realizing maybe there are some things inside of me that need to be looked at and healed in order to be the best version of myself, and also, therefore, better for the people that are around me.
Okay. Well, she cooked, and I'm thankful to know that she is where she is right now. And I know that God continued to draw at her heart, as he always does. And she will find the big T truth after scurrying along the little T truths, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to read the last of what I read to y'all earlier once again. Prudent in their own sight. This is why it is a point of no escape. When you see yourself as justified, as righteous, as good, as purified, as prudent, as you're committing evil, living in darkness, nobody can tell you anything. And that's why I believe, this expression of the original first, before the garden, we have the fall of Lucifer. Why pride? I've asked myself that countless times in the last few weeks. Why pride? Well, it actually makes sense because pride is separation from the source. And the metaphor, the analogy that I got was it's a phone with no charger, no ability to charge, right? So God is the power source to get that phone going. So in your pride, you become depleted until you are fully exhausted, and then you are rendered useless. Without the power source, you have nothing. But pride says, I need not that power source. I don't need to change. I don't need to repent. I am perfect already. Sin? Ugh. I don't even lie. I've never stolen. Yeah, but you got bitterness in your heart. You've got resentment that you're still holding on to. And you see yourself as justified. You see yourself as pure in your own eyes. In the midst of that, you are proud. You are haughty. You are high-minded. You are unforgiving. You think about nothing but your own little mere survival. And so you scatter as much and hoard as much and hold on to as much as possible. I'm talking to my former self here, and still aspects that are being worked on. We think ourselves to be so good and so this and so that. That's why, again, when I talk about leftism or progressivism or Marxism or Leninism, whatever it is, right? The Leninist Marxist, it doesn't matter what expression it comes out as. That is the manifestation of a delineation, separation from our Creator. The original sin of man was to say, I'm going to do it by myself. I don't need you. Excuse me, please. And something I even noticed when I was going back through Genesis was it's interesting how, the first sin was separateness or pride, really. It was disobedience. Okay. Yeah. Like all sin is disobedience. It was disobedience, but really it was, shall you not be like God? Well, you not know all that he knows. Therefore, I don't need him anymore. I got me. And then immediately after, it's crazy because look, y'all won't believe this. I opened it and it opened right to the page. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Okay, look at this. I wrote this down here. So we have, I heard your voice in the garden. So the Lord calls upon Adam and says, where are you? Now, some people out there, they say, oh, well, God must be all knowing, isn't he? So why would he ask such a question if he's all knowing? Have you ever had your child do something you knew, like they ate that cake or the cookies they weren't supposed to eat? They got crumbs on their mouth and you go, what happened to the cookies? You give them an opportunity. You give them a chance to be honest, but nope. What does he choose to do? He says, well, he makes an excuse because he is ashamed and he is afraid. I was naked and I hid myself. So there comes shame. Shame is connected directly to sin. Fear connected directly to sin. I know we don't like that word, but, it means missing the mark. If you don't like missing the mark, then I would suggest finding out what the mark is. So next we have, who told you that you was naked? That's like the, what you call it? That's not the King James Bible right there. That's the LeBron James Bible. Who told you that you were naked? Naked. Hast thou eaten from the tree? And then what'd he say? So there, I said guilt right there. So then he said, wait a minute. No. It was her who did it. She gave me to eat. So blame. Look at that. We got back to back. So he could have come out and said, look, Father, I did wrong. I'm sorry. No, it wasn't that. First, it was an excuse out of shame and then fear. And then all of a sudden he's blaming a woman and she's blaming the serpent, right? We want to blame everybody but ourselves. Why did this? Oh, well, this woman gave it to me. Then he asked her, hey, Eve, why did you do this? Oh, it was the serpent who did it. We can't just come out and say, hey, I messed up. I was wrong for this. And I want to turn my ways. I want to change from this, but it seems impossible to us because it basically is without the Spirit of God that dwelleth within us. It is impossible without that Spirit, the Ruach, the Holy Spirit. It is impossible without. When you have separateness, your flesh, my mind's telling me no. Your flesh is going to want to do some crazy, whacked out stuff, and you have to submit it to the will of the Spirit. You have to submit it. I'm talking to folks who are saved. You have to I'm not gonna dibble and dabble in the cookies. I'm talking to somebody on that. Somebody out there is supposed to cut sugar out of their life, and they're trying to get a different answer from God. You need to cut the sugar out. Your chronic ailments, your autoimmune diseases, etc. Your spiritual warfare is with the cookies and the cream. It is with the Oreos dipped in Oreo sauce. I don't know why you got a sauce for the Oreo. I saw a video of that. Somebody had a sauce for the Oreos. Ain't that something? That's big backatry, big back behavior. Oh, Lord, I'm struggling with this. I know you are. You got to change your habits. You have to put that foot forward and the other foot forward and the other foot forward. You have to be willing to let go of them gluttonous ways. But I'm going to come back to the point at hand for a second. I mean, this is the point. Technically, this is the point at hand. What are we talking about here? This is the point at hand. This is what we're here for when it's all said and done. But when it comes to this leftist ideology, folks, it is nothing more than the expression of pride. I will be the God of myself.
Through college, I lived in a very liberal city. I was a part of the LGBT community for a minute. All my friends were liberal. I held all these liberal beliefs. And let me tell you.
And by the way, that identity thing, the alphabet community, it is a stronghold and a part of that entire ecosystem that has been carved out by the devil. That's why homegirl in the beginning, look, she believes herself to be this, that, and the third. She's going to be a different person in the next few years if she continues to diligently seek the truth, big T truth. So it's always they part of the community and they part of this because identity issues. When your identity is not rooted in your creator, then what's it rooted in? In foolishness, in Oreos with sauce on it.
There was no hate like liberal hate. I had conservative family members that still talk to me, that still engage in conversation with me, even though I held liberal beliefs. But the second that I became more conservative, you best believe I lost like most of my friends. Mm-hmm. The second I had a child, most of my liberal friends were not anywhere to be seen. They didn't know how to support me. Nope. They didn't really care.
They only know how to be there for the party when you got rid of your baby.
Told a few of them I was pregnant, they reminded me of my right to choose. That was their first reaction. And even within the liberal community when I was in it, it was always this like, who's more woke? Like, you better have the right opinions about this. You better have the right opinions about that. Like, there was no winning. There was literally like never woke enough. I've never experienced anything even close to remotely the same in the conservative sphere. I went through addiction, through single motherhood. I went through many, many hard things in my life, and the people that were the most supportive, that were the most understanding, and the most non-judgmental were the conservative Catholics. I know this is just like a personal anecdote.
I haven't watched this video ahead of time. I don't know if she's going to make a reference to the church, but
I do feel like there's this just like generalization about conservatives, that they're very judgmental and that they only want, people of their kind or whatever, but it's just like literally not true. I mean, just go down to my video about Charlie Kirk versus Jimmy Kimmel. All of the comments are like so dark and cruel and mean and snide and sarcastic and like void of intellect. Like, this is how the left communicates.
Yeah, because they're of their father. They've been given over. Let me read this out for y'all. I'm going to have to repeat this, and this might even be a staple for just our overall messaging, because I believe that if we're not in them times, then we're close to them. We're at the door. If we're not at the end times, we're sure at the door. It said, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient." See, they didn't even mention your cousin's alcohol problem yet. or the fact that, Susie Beckett is having an affair. All those are sin, but none of those things have been mentioned so far. It says, lovers of self, self-love movement. Can I get a hoot hoot? Covetous, always wanting, all on the Instagram scrolling. Ooh, I wish if only. I wish, it must be nice. Wanting everything. You don't even know what the price for that thing was, literally or figuratively. Boasters. Always, man, I was killing last night. Oh man, you should have seen me. I was the man. I don't like to brag, then proceeds to brag. Proud. We talked about that one. You got to double down. Blasphemers. That's not just saying, oh my God. No, we're talking about blaspheming. That spirit of the Antichrist that is moving upon us. Come on, bro. Disobedient to parents. Y'all don't want to hear that one. Y'all want to cuss your parents out. Unthankful and unholy. Without natural affections. That could be taken a few different ways, including the alphabet community-ness of things. Natural affection. Without it. What is natural in your affections? Truce breakers. That means you break your promises. Yes. That's included. That's why I'm saying all of us are in here. Every single one of us. Don't get it twisted. False accusers. You're lying on your brother. You're telling a half truth. You're at the job. You're trying to get Becky fired now. You need to mind your business. Incontinent. Some of y'all thinking this or that incontinence, but that one might be included. No, I'm playing. That one ain't included. You got to deal with that. Pepto-Bismol ain't gonna solve it. Drink more water. Let's see. We got fierce, despisers, and those that are despisers of those that are good. So even the despising of what is good. The Charlie Kirk hatred was the hatred of a man who was doing good. God's terms, he was doing good. Gospel was at the core of everything, and they despised him. They hate what's good. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into the houses and lead captive silly women laden with sin, led away with diverse lusts. Diverse lusts. All kinds of stuff that you scrolling through on your phone right now. Shut it down. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Look, I got time today. I'm going to give myself maybe 5 minutes or so to wrap this up. That one right there hit different. I even highlighted that and read for myself. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. You got 150 books on psychology, self-help, the new age and the old. And you can't come to a conclusion about anything. You are perpetually in a state of confusion. Forever learning the knowledge of all things, hidden knowledges, secret knowledges, occult knowledges, all sorts of stuff you got going on, and you can't find yourself at any conclusion ever. Now, of course, it's because we deny or we ignore. We don't want to really hear the truth. We want to feel impressive. We want to feel smart and intellectual. Some folks will say, oh, you're so smart and you're this, you're that. And I say, thank you. But truth be told, the only intelligence I care about is when it's godly wisdom. When that is flowing through me, then that's all that matters when it's all said and done. Because me saying something real slick and real smart, intellectual, whatever it is, and all of that, if it does nothing for your relationship with your Savior, then it means nothing. It means nothing. It's a waste of words then, right? If it's not leading there. Now, of course, we can, uplift one another, etc. But I count that all in the same vein. But if I'm just here, just sounding smart, just to sound smart, that is nothing. And that was the addiction that I used to have. It was the obsessiveness of just that for the sake of that. all these books. I read close to no book in its totality during my high school years. But when I graduated, got off the dope, etc., and I was looking for this new identity, found myself in personal development, I must have read or listened to at least 100 books within the year or 2 years. Incessantly. Business, this, that. And I'm thankful because sure, I've learned a lot of things along the way. And that's a beautiful thing. And we all should. I believe we should, be as well-rounded. But the round should be around this. It should be around the truth, big T truth. Otherwise, it's nothing. You're always learning, always learning, always learning. Look at this. Ever learning and never coming to the knowledge of truth. You're running in circles. You're going nowhere fast. So I pray that, this message reaches you however it may. I'm not a pastor. I never claimed to be. I am a man from day one who was looking for the truth, and I was digging in the little T truths until I found myself at the big T truth when I realized, bruh, you can't do all this alone. Y'all didn't know this, but as I was recording these videos, I would feel mounting pressures of 1,000 different things, and something just hit me to say, why are you trying to carry everything? Is there not a God? Okay, we could put Christ. We could put Christ here. We're going to get to that. But is there not a God who created all of this and understands it better than you? And if that's a yes, then why are you trying to handle all of this? And that actually led me then back full. I would say it's a 360 really, because, being raised in a way that my folks were trying to raise me was a 360. It was a coming back home. But I had to let go of that pride though. And say, you know what? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything. Like I know some things, but if I knew, then everything would be working out perfectly. And it's not to say everything's going to be easy, honky-dory, or whatever it is. No, but the truth is going to remain the truth. And that is never going to change. Everlasting, forever, period. Hate it, love it, want to be it, don't want nothing to do with it. It's going to remain. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I've been up for hours, I've been up for days, staring at the ceiling, I've been counting strays, I've been in my feelings, I've been out of mind, I've been getting visions of the other kind, I've been up for weeks, I'm in the count of blessings over count of sheep, I can never be the type to limit when it comes to me, I used to be the pleaser for the people, I